now. It says live, so we know
Here we
we're
are.
live now. But yeah, we're in different parts of the world. So I've been at the beach today, and I arrived, and we saw this cool little thing. Like I'm like, there's something out there in the ocean, and then sure enough, a little fin and the curved back of a dolphin shows up. So that was quite relieving because when you're about ready to get into the ocean, you kind of don't want it to be the other kind of a fin, really.
Not my kind of Finn. My son is called Finn, so seeing him is great. But calling out to him at the beach in Australia is not so great because people
no.
look out think, what kind of fin is it? And so we learned very quickly when he was little to call out Finny because calling out Finn isn't good. So, yeah.
Yeah, because we know that there's shark nets in Australia, right? And I used to think that shark nets go all the way around a beach, right? So that you've got like a little casio, but they don't. They're like this thing that goes here, and then they've got a start and a finish. And I'm like, yeah, but wouldn't you notice all around? Like, just aren't that really that interested in us, are they?
No, they're not. They're not that interested in us. We're talking about sharks. I see Taz and a Wit here. So nice to see you.
Oh yeah, there's Wit.
Can't see. But.
Yeah. So yeah, so funny, Finny.
Yeah, Finny, and because the first time it happened, I was kind of like, you could feel almost like there are enough people around us, and I'd called out to him, and I thought, oh, that's right, Australia beach shark fin. So yeah, it was calling out to Finny, not Finn. So you've been to the beach, Carla. That's fun.
Yeah, I'm slightly pink because I just just a bit of like goodness, and I felt so good.
Feeling warmer in Queensland.
Oh, we've gone from like winter where you've had to wear clothes to like totally sweaty. Like you're down to sleeveless nothing by lunchtime again. We don't have a spring. We just go winter, summer, and it's not really winter to be quite honest because we are in Queensland. But we've acclimatized because we came from New Zealand, so we've acclimatized, and we are now, we actually felt the cold. We actually had to put clothes on.
Which compared to where I live, it's like not a winter. So, yep, winter is coming. But you can see my background today. The leaves are still on the tree. These trees are really slow to get their leaves, so they're actually really slow to lose them. So they won't turn colour until mid-October, which is really nice. And then they drop, and it's like tons. They say there's 1,000 of these trees in the town that I live in, but it's a 1 kilometre long esplanade with trees lining a double tree.
Wow!
And so it's a lot of leaves. It's a lot of leaves, and they come with a digger or like a machine that collects them all, and then they put it into a huge skip and they make it into mulch. But it's tons. Like this, they have multiple skips. It's incredible. It's an amazing process, actually. It's a lot of work. Deciduous trees. So so I haven't been to the beach this morning. I was thinking about having a swim, but I've been busy this morning, so I haven't been out. But it would not be warm, and there's no dolphins.
No, there would be no dolphins. Well, to end our beach, I caught 2 amazing waves because I got a boogie board from the op shop that was $6. And so my son and my husband have that. And it's so cute because my son, who's 10, he was giving me all these tips like, Mummy, you've got to do this and you've got to do that, which is cute. Anyway, I caught 2 waves, which is great. They were really superb waves that just went right into the shore. It wasn't that wavy, to be quite honest. But it was a lot of fun. And my little guy's like, we should get a family wave together. We didn't get a family wave together because you're all at different stages.
It's hard, yeah.
So that was really funny. But then to end the beach trip, I packed everything up. My husband's like, look, what's that out there? What's that? And it's whale season in Australia. and we are in the whale corridor, and there are so many whales that have populated this coast. Like, they're going up every single year. The whale populations
Oh.
are so big. So we actually were standing on the beach looking at a whale. Now, this isn't the first time this happens. We've done it many times, but you've just been swimming in the great ocean, and then there's this pop of this whale, and then this whale jumps up, and I have my sunglasses that are new from a date at Specsavers that I had with my husband, where we both got glasses.
Yeah, that's
You had this whale completely jump out of the water, like you could see where the tail kind of like went down, breach into this ginormous backsplat. And you could just see the water, and it wasn't that far from from where we were standing on the land, but it was just spectacular. So the whale was out there having a whale of a time, and he continued to breach, and it was just amazing. And that was to end. So we had dolphins at the beginning, and then
That
we
is
had the
really
whales. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, there's a couple of places where we go to watch whales, and there's one place that we stay, and there's whales that cruise by all the way. Before you even get to the beach, you can see them out there. And they've been like a lot closer, like 50, 60 meters in the water. It's just amazing to see these majestical creatures. But but that was really magic. So we saw a dolphin to begin with and a whale to end with in the ocean in Australia. Come Australian whale watching season, everyone. Don't pay $30 to go out in your boat when you go to Spain. Come to Australia and just stand on the beach.
I love that so much. That's beautiful. What an amazing day.
Yeah. Now, are you going to be on the whale corridor as well, where you're...
Yes. Yeah. I haven't said anything yet publicly. Should we do it? Should I say it now? And then if anyone's watching, they can jump. Yeah. That I'm moving to Australia.
She's coming back.
And not just me, my husband's coming.
I could see that in your face, and I was like, oh, you could just say.
Yeah. I haven't said it.
That's it. You didn't have to say you're moving.
I'm moving to Australia.
Yeah.
Fucking flourishing will continue as usual, but I get to stand on a beach and watch whales if I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to come back to the whale population and watch them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. And they do get them where I'm moving to. So, yeah.
That's so cool.
I haven't seen a whale in real life yet in my life. Yeah.
Well, that's because the population's been building while you're away, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I want to know, because what we were going to chat about, I want to know, did you get sand in your knickers?
Definitely. Did you get sand in your knickers?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
No, you can ask me later, and I would love to answer it, okay? See you later.
I love spontaneous kid coming in when you're going live. It's great.
It's my surf coach.
Oh, is he a good one?
I mean, he was so funny. Because there's a difference in like my size and his size to what we catch, right?
And age and flexibility, and there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
When you're boobs and you're surfing, it's kind of like boogie boarding or body surfing. I like body surfing, but yeah.
It's all really good. Yes. So sand in your ears. That's our thing.
That's our thing. That's what we're going to chat today about. We've had a long segue into the sand in the knickers conversation.
Yeah. And you know what? The sand in your knickers thing kind of came from, I was actually at a talk with a neuroscientist, and he's a parenting expert. So he gives like information about, and he works with teachers as well. And, we talk about the different transitions that children go through and stuff. And he completely changed my way of thinking about how children are in education, because I was an ex-educator, or still am sometimes when I feel like it.
Sometimes. I think you're a lifelong educator once you're in it.
Once you're in it, yeah. Certain schools, not all of them, because I don't love all of them. But anyway, he was talking about how you always have a child that's a sandpaper child. He said, yeah, the sandpaper child, that's the one that's most like you. And then I thought about it. I thought, when you think about things that kind of like grate you a little bit, it's kind of like sand in your knickers, isn't it? It's just kind of like it just is, so we thought that we'd do this about sand in your knickers, and it's about when we're sitting in emotion and how we move out of it, because, how do we move out of that emotion rather than habitate there?
Yeah, and make it kind of way worse. Like, how
Yes.
do you kind of move through it in a way that's graceful, in a way that honors what you're feeling, not bypassing what you're feeling, but also not like making it, okay, it's a sand pit's worth of sand in my knickers
Yes.
and it's never going away.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the first things, like, is, and this is really interesting, is just acknowledging that the sand is there. Like, acknowledging what it is. And like with sand in your knickers, when you are going through something that is, an emotional kind of thing, it this too shall pass. The sand will work its way out, even if you did nothing there, it will work its way out eventually. But, it's acknowledging that it's there, because when it's there, also you can choose to do something to move that sand along, can't you? To stop.
Probably shower, for example, wash it
Yeah.
off, wait for it to dry and brush it off.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, it's about riding that wave of emotion,
Yeah.
all the ocean metaphors
Yeah.
today. But riding that wave of emotion, and actually coming out the other side. And then when we come out the other side, of course, we can access the rational front part of the brain, which is great. And then we can make some sense, and we can problem solve, and we can come up with that. But when we are in that situation, it is, sometimes it's easy to live there. And I know myself, that in the past I used to live there on certain issues, in in the emotional, um, in that emotional wave. And I used to have like sandpaper in my knickers, which would make me quite irritable and quite, like not my best self. So I don't know if that's you as well, Lisa, but I imagine
Yeah,
it's human.
no, like perhaps it can be that it kind of recurs and it's a reminder, and like bypass it a little bit. I think I've been a bit like that, perhaps, of that I keep thinking about it, keep recurring, because I haven't kind of gone through that full wave. I haven't let myself feel everything or acknowledge it. It's kind of like a suppression, has been my pattern in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is something that we can do too. It's like, oh, hello. And we don't really wash it off. We just kind
Yeah,
of pretend that it
that,
doesn't exist. And
that's
it pops
right.
up every now and then when you pull a certain, when something happens, it pops up again. And so I think that, yeah, that's definitely been the way. And I've just recently been down a little rabbit hole where I realized, due to my teaching career, that I've got a child, as you just saw. And whenever I'm around other parents, I'm finding that they will quite often say something about an education system. And I'm always on the defensive of the teachers, like, because I know how hard that job is, right? I know how difficult it is, and I know how little time they have and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not like that. Like a mum said to me, I wish they could, ensure that the kids put sunscreen on. And it's like, well, uh, if you've ever been in a class of 30 kids, to try and get them all with sunscreen on, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of like stuff, and you have to kind of negotiate. Like, as a parent, having one child with sunscreen on takes negotiation sometimes. So just multiply it by 30 when you're under the pump trying to get out to the playground as well. Like, and you've got hungry children, you've got children with different time spans. And I just said, it's just not possible. I just said, it's just not possible. But the way I went in there probably wasn't like that. I was like, that is not going to happen. and I was like, why have I got such sand in my knickers over this? And I realized what it was. And I thought, oh, we have to do some work there, because I've been caught up in the pressure of having that pressure on me, but it still reacts. And I don't want to be that person, because I've moved careers.
Yeah, and also it's not necessarily helpful to that woman who, okay, she has this genuine concern about her kids,
Yeah.
Not practical. I mean, if she had have kind of gone through with the thought of, have I ever had a birthday party at my house with 15 of my child's friends? How has that gone for me? Put that, times that by 2 and have it every day, then she probably would have then maybe not said the comment of, I wish I wish that teachers would put sunscreen on. So it is that thing, not wanting to be that person who responds in a way that, okay, she has it, like, it's genuine to think that, like, it's fair enough to think that, but you can also put sunscreen on your kid before they go to school. In Australia, it's
Yes.
no play. So, which here they've never heard of. They're like, what do you mean no hat, no play? And they're mostly not here at school in the summer here, because it's they go back in August, and I mean this year certainly they haven't needed a hat, and the UV is quite low, so it's not, they don't have the same kind of issues. But it is that thing of responding in a way that you don't want to be that person that's like
No.
rubbing, it is asking the questions about, why is it rubbing me up the wrong way? Why am I responding or reacting like this, rather than kind of thinking about the person who said it.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
And the mum is lovely. The mum is lovely, but just
Yeah.
it's just like, how can you put another thing on top of them when this is like a parenting thing? Like, come on, it's a team. And like I said, we put it on in the car and it's like, well, it wears off by the time they get there. And I'm like, well, I use a stick that's got zinc in it so that it, has sticks around. And it's not like they're sweating before they go outside. So, yeah, but it was just like this inquiry, and I just went, whoa, I am doing this, and I do this often, full disclosure. So I have gone down the hole of, why am I doing that? And I think it's for so long. It was really seeing my emotional reaction as somewhere where I had to do some work, right? So this is something that over the last couple of weeks I've been working on, because it's like, okay, I'm saying goodbye to this career. I want to leave this behind. Like, I do not want to keep having this happen. And so I think this is the sand in your knickers. I can swim at rocky beaches. I just see Lisa's comment about swimming at rocky beaches and no sand in your knickers.
Yeah.
You can swim without knickers on too.
I spent a lot of time naked this summer. I wrote about that recently.
Yeah. There you go. But, this thing that it keeps coming up. And so we either get the choice to use our data as our emotions as data, and to actually go, oh, there's something here, and to get curious about it, because it will snowball as it is. And that emotion comes in that gap between who we want to be, isn't it? And who we really are being, because it's always between expectation and reality. But it's been something for me to actually look at, like, why is that? And then how can I move through it? So, Lisa, when you have that happen, do you sometimes, now that you're more aware of yourself, is this something that you notice as well? And then how do you move through it? Because it's good to talk about these different ways, because different ways work for different people, right?
Yeah, it is. And I think they even work for different situations.
True.
It's kind of because I don't have kids at home anymore. Like, I've realized that I'm in such a different phase in my life. Not having kids, I don't have that kind of pressure that kids can have in your life. They can be sort of triggers in that sense. So it does feel like I'm in a phase where I have more time to be able to kind of think about whether I'm responding or reacting. Those things that irritate me, it's often things that it's not in the moment necessarily. And I can catch myself, like, if I'm thinking something. There's been a few small things recently that it's just I've been so irritated by, and it's usually things around, like, ways of doing things. I mean, I live in a culture that I didn't grow up in, and so there's ways of doing things that I can find quite frustrating, and then questioning, okay, where is it coming from? Is it because it's different? Is it because um, like, I'm not feeling I have a voice? And I think the curiosity and the questioning really helps me through that process, recognizing that it is a frustration, and that, what can I do? I can change how I respond. I can't change the systems necessarily, but how I respond to that, I have control over that. So that has
Yeah.
helped enormously of just the awareness first, the recognition, and then going through that process of, where am I in this, and
Yes.
how can I manage me?
Yeah, and not in a way that it's belittling
Mm,
or, condemning you and, "Oh, I always do this and I always do that," because that really gets you nowhere. It's more in that curiosity with compassion type of way, and I think that's really important because, acknowledging that you're a human and that you have this cringe aspect, the
mhm.
more you acknowledge the cringe, the more you're able to really embrace the higher up stuff, I believe, because you are everything. Life is 50-50. But when we can start to recognize where we've got those emotions that are taking over and, renting space in our head with thoughts, sending us
Yeah.
into the doom spirals, or causing frustration and anger that we don't really want, and becoming the person that we don't want to be, like the person that says, well, teachers can't put on sunscreen all the time, and when we start to think about that, we think, okay, well, how can we more align with it? I think that's the useful thing, like asking ourselves questions. That's one thing I do. Sometimes I ask myself questions. Okay, what else can this mean?
Mhm.
What else can this mean? Where can I, like what else is going on here? And sometimes when I catch myself, like thinking about it, and I'll just ask myself that question, and
Mm.
then I have some clarity with it. It's
Dropping into
really cool.
important too. That's something that I've really learned over the last 10 years, because I was completely, for many years, completely disconnected from my body. It was just
Mm.
this vessel that carried around this amazing brain. And in the last 10 years, I've really learned way more that how much intelligence my body holds, and where it is sitting in my body helps. And there are patterns. There are patterns to that. So it's, I guess, getting used to um, asking yourself those questions and realizing that there is a connection, that your body will be telling you things like, okay, I'm feeling sick right now. Or sometimes it might be you feel like your head's going to explode. And so you can kind of connect in a way, and you may not get answers, but at least you're aware. You're kind of aware of what is happening within your body, and perhaps then you kind of have more of an understanding of, okay, there is that connection, and eventually it does give you some information back once you start learning the patterns that you have, and that's been super awesome,
Useful.
really useful, because you realize, oh, well, I get headaches when this happens, or, I start to feel nauseous when this happens, or I get, a pain in my right toe when, connecting those emotional, happen, or like what you're feeling
Yeah.
emotionally, to the physical aspects of your body. So, and then you're able to also perhaps, perhaps it clears your head in a way as well. I don't know. I haven't sort of gone down that rabbit hole so much, but yeah, maybe that information. It's more of it's more holistic, I guess. You're not just relying on your brain. My brain has had a lot of work in the in the like 20 or 30 years of being an adult, and then it was like, oh yeah, I've got a body.
Oh, and we're so taught to be in our head. And I think when I was in Asia, I learned my yoga kind of practice, and that kept my stress way down. And the irony is that it wasn't until I moved back to my home country, that I actually dropped my yoga because it wasn't so popular, and I didn't have the same friends, and I didn't have that kind of stuff, and I had no time because I was deeply into my career again and doing everything for everyone as a teacher, that I actually had chest pain, and I had to have an ECG, and an emergency ECG, and it wasn't until I actually thought about it. It was all the combined pressure on here. So I find for me, it tends to build up and then it manifests, and so in my body, I have the lipedema thing that has been brought on by perimenopause, and just slowly sloughing that off. Like, what is that underneath? And I don't actually know because I feel quite relaxed because I haven't got this chest pain and I'm still doing my beautiful breath, but there is other aspects underneath. And I think it actually is the long-term effects of low-level stress that's built up over the years, and I haven't really recognized it go on. So I haven't really reckoned, and it was probably my last 8 years I had as a teacher.
Yeah.
And so I've put all my practices back in place because I've seen that that really calms my body down. I function a lot better. But there's been some stuff. So that I EFT tap, which is a great way to get through stuff. But I've been looking at other ways because I'm fascinated by the idea of when we kind of like cling to something and we can't move on, then how can we start to change? And I recently came across a huge body of work from Stanford and another big university.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it's
it.
all on how your mindset actually affects your body chemistry. So what you think about food actually affects the way you digest it. So it affects the amount of fullness that your body will indicate, and it affects the enzymes as well to break down the food. Because they fed the same milkshake to people twice. They didn't tell them that. They told them once that it was one kind and once that it was another kind. And their body felt more satiated, more full when they said that it was nutrient dense, full fat, like high calories.
Yeah.
Then when they said it was healthy and it had, less, people didn't feel as satiated, but it was the same milkshake.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And then the digestive process was different as well. So I found 9 pages of these kind of studies, and they're done when people tell them about cancer treatments and things like that. Another really interesting one was where they told 2 groups of people that worked in hotels doing housework, they told them that one of them was getting their daily exercise. It was good for their cardiovascular health. It was muscle building. It was all that kind of thing. And they told another group that no, it wasn't contributing to their daily exercise target and blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't fitness building and all that kind of stuff. And what they did was they actually noticed over 6 months, the group that was told it was amazing, they lost weight. They felt happier. They felt more energized. The other group didn't lose weight. They were more depressive. They had more symptoms of, not so much happiness in their life. And it was just amazing that this was just simply the power of the word. So your mindset towards something has something. And I've been thinking about this in terms of disease management, in terms of migraine management. And they've actually found like it's the placebo effect, right? And that they've actually found that with medication for migraines. They'll tell people what it does. They'll give half the placebo, yet 50% of those people that get the placebo still get benefit from it.
Yeah.
And the medicine is maybe 55%. So it's really fascinating to see. So what we think about things is really important. And just seeing that set me on this path of like, it's really important to offload those thoughts and those stories that we tell ourselves and to recognize where they are with compassion. Thanks, Michaela. But I've read like so much of this, and it's led me to it's led me to see that on Substack, a lot of people love it, and they're writing and they're really letting go of stuff in their writing, right? Because I just mainly podcast and do like information articles.
Yeah.
And so I was interested in that. And interestingly enough, I was listening to something and I heard about journaling, but a specific kind of journaling. There's a specific kind of journaling that you do for 4 days, and it is the process that clears. There are multiple ways of journaling and not one works, but this 4-day process that has been refined is absolutely amazing for clearing things. I'm using it for the teaching stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, obviously it's still stuck in my system. And I went out with the parents last night.
Yeah.
I'm only halfway through it too. I've got 2 more days. So I'm going to be really fascinated to see how that is. And then I'll go back in a week's time and I'll use it for something else. Not that I have a lot of stuff, but it's just like I'm using my emotions for data of where to like Okay, because I don't think that healing is something that is like, you've got this great wound and you heal it. Healing is the process of letting go, putting it down so that you can
It is.
be lighter, brighter, and you can evolve, right? You can ascend. You can
Yeah.
be more of that higher vibing kind of thing. So,
Lisa just said,
yeah.
is it Baker? And
Yeah, it's Penny Baker. Yeah, I've read 15 of no, I've read 6 of his research articles. I've still got 7 more on my list to read. And then I'm halfway through one of his books and I've got 3 of his books to read. So it's really
when Carla goes down the rabbit hole,
really big.
Down the rabbit
Yeah. I go down the rabbit hole. I'm
down
like
the rabbit hole. Yeah. It's powerful. And I think what's important about sharing different tools is that there are things. There's not just one way of doing it. This one is worth trying. I mean, try all the things and see what works well for you. It's awesome if you're able to offload those things. For some people, it's for creatives. I know morning pages are a thing where it's just like this dump of stuff. But this is so specific because Carla is so good at sharing. She sent me the podcast and I was like, too many words. I like to read. It's too slow. I need to read it because I read fast. So then she sent me directly a paper and I was like, that's the thing. And so
that's the thing.
Yeah. He's gold like that.
Yeah.
Like that color I'm talking about. You're like, you're not.
Thanks.
Yeah. So it's I think it's really worth trying things, particularly if there are things that you're really stuck with. I'm just thinking in my own life there are some things right now that I could use in that 4-day process that would be really useful.
And Lisa just said she did a workshop with someone else on Substack using Penny Baker, and I think that's really great. And I think it's great to do these workshop type of things too, Lisa, because you know that I've done EFT tapping circles live, which I intend to do, and this 10 week that I've just been through has just been kind of nuts with sickness and stuff in our house. But I think I'm going to regularly set these up because it's time to show up for it, right? And like when you do a workshop, Lisa, with someone, if you set up a 5-day thing, this is a 5-day thing, and you come in and you spend that half an hour doing that work and you come into space, you're present in the space, you do that work in your own realm, because some of us don't want to share that, but that process of sharing through writing is sharing, right? And I can see in Substack that there's a lot of sharing going on, but there's not full disclosure. Like it's not going to the next layer. And the research that I'm reading is trying to find out, is the sharing, is it validating? Like, is it validating it so you stay stuck? Or is it actually moving you to the next level? And I'm not so sure yet. I've picked out some more papers to read as well, because I'm not so sure that it does move. Because you will write differently for yourself when no one else has to read than you will write for other people. So that's really fascinating. But I'm just I'm thinking right now, as a teacher, you go through so many small things. Thanks for that brilliant question. Yeah. I've kept all my list of my things, Lisa, because I think that I could, I've got a master's next year. And I might be able to shorten it to half the time because I've got some other qualifications. But I'm like, I might just do the full time and then do a research paper in this. So I've kept all my links.
Yeah, and like wrote there that she doesn't share the Penny Baker parts; she burns or tears them up, and that, I think that's actually super powerful. You're adding ritual. I mean, obviously, the writing of the thing is a ritual, and it is quite scripted of how you do it, because that's. I know that that's how it works. And what was interesting, that it didn't really make a difference how long you were writing, whether it was 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes. It was still the same. So it's not the length of time, it's the what that, what is coming out on the page. And then the ritual there, I love ritual, and I think it is super powerful. And that tearing up and burning of the stuff, it is the literal get rid of it. I mean, you are getting it out of your life in a way that is symbolic of what we know of what it is to get rid of things.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of offering every term, week 1, a 5-week space that people that are educators, because they have to deal with so much now and their stress levels are through the thing, can come in and can join, because just holding that space and everyone doing that at that time without actually having a big conversation is the way through. So I'm just reading the stuff because I think it's not so much in the sharing, because it can be revalidated as opposed to redirect. And when you revisit your own stuff over this 4-day period, you get to different layers and different things come into it that you didn't realize were connected. And you move from being in that victim place into being into a wider perspective and seeing that circle of control that we started to speak about what I can do in this situation, where I can move forward. And that's the most powerful, empowering place, right? And Penny Baker actually says, you don't want to stay writing in it for a long period of time, because you just embed it. You want to have that time for processing, which comes in line with
dump and get rid of. That's what I love about it, and that you're writing the same thing over the 4 days. It's dump, burn it, dump, tear it up, dump it all out. So there's no hanging on. There's no revisit. You don't, because there is, it's not useful to keep revisiting the same thing. I mean, when you're present, you're in the moment, and it's so easy to, that's what mindfulness is all about. That it's about landing in the present and not letting the past drag you back, not thinking about it, because you can't change it, and it's that present moment. But getting rid of it all and having that symbolic burning up is powerful for you.
Or moving through the layers, right?
Yeah,
because you might not get rid of it all because it's layered.
Well, yeah.
And this is the thing, is that there is a piece of this, these are the research papers that I'm reading now, because I'm going into his later work, where you go back and you reflect on it a month later and you see how far you've actually come, and you see what might have come from the work that you did. So that's a research paper that I've got to read. And there was another thing as well that I was going to say that I've completely and totally forgotten. Oh no, it's coming to me. Keep talking, Lisa, and I'm just going to think through it.
It's a beautiful thing when you're our age, and you have this amazing thread that you're following, and then you're just like, no, all words from all languages. I know Lisa speaks multiple languages. She probably has the same thing where all language leaves you. Doesn't matter. It just disappears and the thread is gone. But I love. Journaling is there. That for me as an educator, I've always said to students that it is so useful when you're doing any kind of study, wanting to remember anything, that you're using your hand. What I have realized too, and it was something that I accidentally kind of did, is that I was doodling, which is what I really love to doodle. But I was watching. I had the television on. I was kind of like semi-watching this show, and I was doodling this specific kind of doodle thing that I do. And the weird thing is that when I next picked up to doodle, I could totally remember what happened in the show, even though I wasn't even paying attention.
Oh, amazing.
And I thought, like, that is so powerful. And I had read similar things with Tyson Yunkaporta's work in Sand Talk, and like one of my all-time favourite books, how Indigenous wisdom can change the world, and their mark making and coding. And I realised that the somatic connection, the brain body, you're doing something with your hand, you're coding information. It was a way of coding. I didn't even kind of realise, but you're marking papers. It does, like putting a mark on a paper. It doesn't have to be words. It can be symbols, and you can still go back and do that process and remember that stuff. So like whether you're writing and that somatic connection of, okay, I'm writing my notes before my exam, it's just not the same as typing. We don't have that same thing. Your fingers are moving in a different way. There's something about writing or the doodling. That was really powerful.
Or the doodling or drawing, or painting.
It doesn't have to be words.
And that's really, really fascinating. And that's what they say, is that it's a somatic practice because your body is moving through.
Did you?
I just had my idea. Yeah, I did. Now this was something different though that I came, because I'm also have done hypnotherapy. Lovely to see you, Lisa. We have also done hypnotherapy, right? And so the hypnotherapy is where your conscious brain is doing something.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you break down that barrier straight into the subconscious, right? And so some of the times when you're going to onboard the most is if you're driving and listening to a radio show. If you're cooking dinner and you've got the TV on, or you're doing things and you've got the TV on, you're going to embed that, whether or not it's fictional or whether it's real or whether it's exaggerated or sensationalized. You are going to embed that because you are doing something else with your conscious brain. And so it goes in and it bypasses that barrier. So really being conscious of what we have in our environment really is important. And especially when we've got like young children, like I've seen young children, they're doing their things, but they've got the news on or they've got something on. You know, I don't think the news is suitable for any child, to be quite honest.
Or adult.
And no, or adults. I've actually read a trauma therapist say, my prescription is do not watch any news.
And it's interesting you say that, because we have a friend and I just sent him the link. I get weekly this positive news. It's based in the UK, but they send you every week a list of positive news, and it's written by journalists in a way that is positive, and they have world news. There's often a lot of UK stuff because it is based there, but they have world things. And I sent it to this friend because my husband was really worried about this guy, because he could see, he's like, oh, I've been watching the news every day, and he's just gone down this rabbit hole and became completely depressed. And so I sent him the link straight away today. I was like, my husband was like, stop watching the news, stop reading the news. And then I sent this, because it is that, what we were talking about before, that your energy, what you think about, becomes then your reality. That's all you see.
Yeah.
You only see the negative.
And I do question, like, we've got to look after the earth, right? We do have to look after our earth, and we do have to be more conscious citizens. But I do question the doom and the way that we actually approach that through education as well, because the anxiety of children has gone through the freaking roof. Through the roof. Like, I have never, ever seen it. It is ridiculous. And I do wonder if it is because of the way that we are approaching it in some of the alarmist ways.
Rather than these are the things that let's kind of replicate that, or let's highlight the amazing inventions that are happening. I read most recently, I am on Instagram, and I do watch it's called 60-second docs, and they often have really fantastic, positive, amazing things. And it's a company, can't remember, India, Pakistan, Indonesia, sorry, don't remember where it was, but they've made a building material out of rice husks.
Amazing.
So, like, how much rice is eaten in the world. Like, it's incredible. Rice husks are a byproduct of that. And they've made, and instead of wood, and it's fireproof, waterproof. I mean, it's incredible. So I was like, this is so positive. There are all of these incredible
amazing things.
That's why this positive news is so important, rather than rather than the opposite. I agree with you. I actually remember in the 1980s, because I was born in the 1900s.
When the dinosaurs roamed the earth, right? Same with me, I know. We had cave paintings. We didn't journal. We just painted on the walls.
Exactly. We had no chalk. No, that was my mum, chalk and boards. But because I am from the 1900s, I remember the Cold War and the feeling of that. And I remember AIDS epidemic, like, when that came out, and that
I do remember that. Yeah.
All of those, that the advertising and the campaigns around that. And there was environmental issues even back then. Of course, we've known about it for a long time.
I remember
lots of things, but there's not. I remember that fear, and it isn't useful. I think you're more empowered if you're thinking about there are ways of doing things, focusing on all the amazing things that are happening. I mean, so that you're not apathetic, that it doesn't turn to apathy, feel like that it's useless, you can't do anything, and then you head down that depression spiral.
Or you generate rage and
Yeah.
frustration, which is my natural kind of go-to. Because we either go the worry or we go to the frustration, depending on what we saw in parents, right? And so I'm well aware of that, and it has stopped me from doing that quite so much. But yeah, it is like, how do we do it? And, it's not going to take, 5% of people doing things 100% right. If we have 100% of people making a 20% change in the way that they did things, we're going to have a lot more. And, there's going to be some people that are closer to making a 50% change and some people that are closer to making an 80% change. But it's also what is accessible, because I have had pure organics in my life, and being raw food and being very directed. But the amount of energy and time that goes into that and into staying into the kitchen to creating that, even though my body loves it, it's not fabulous. And the other people I live with would not love it. So, doing that, I don't have that amount of time. So how much can I give, and making the better choice for what is available to you in your environment, right?
And being kind to yourself, being kind in that process, because again, that the energy is thought energy, that cycle, the harsher you are with yourself. Being open and curious. I'm working with a client at the moment who just finds it so difficult to be kind to herself. And I sometimes pose a question, are you able to say this? And it was just like, it's like a blanket no. There's not even any curiosity. It's like complete shutdown. Which it's sort of scary in a way. I think there are other things needed, and EFT is probably one of them, which I'll suggest.
Yeah.
I think it does use it, but it's that's also difficult, like overcoming that. How do you move forward when you have it's a blanket? Nope.
Yeah, and EFT is so useful for changing self-talk models and for changing stuff. I mean, the thing is that I love about these, Lisa, is that there's a whole lot of stuff that is in our psychotherapy models that is not even proven in research papers. Yet it's stuff that commonly people think, oh yeah, that's great. And yet you've got energy psychology stuff like EFT and a few other tapping modalities and other modalities with somatics as well. So it's energy psychology. And it's been talked about this being the fourth wave, right? The energy psychology wave, because we've had analysis and we've had other waves. I can't remember what they all are because that's not my thing, but there are. And so this fourth wave is kind of coming out, and there's a psychologist over here who won Psychologist of the Year a couple of years ago, and she's also been big in the EFT world, and she's been talking about this energy psychology. And it when you look around, these are the things that people are now moving to. It's not about thinking. It's not about you've got a meat suit and a brain. It's about other things. And, the more I look at this, the more I see those ancient things. So we always come back to the ancient stuff, but we see the ancient wisdom, and we see scripture, and we see philosophy, and we see that kind of stuff weaving through, and it's just humankind's, generation after generation after generation. And once again, I think it's just that offloading to ascend, and it's that highest good for all. And when we start to see that, we're not just one thing, we're all connected, which is a big step in itself. But when we start to see that, and it's highest good for all, and what we do for ourselves actually, bumps into everyone else around us as well. Then I think we really, we start to create, and because we're coming from that place rather than that fear-based place of climate change, like I want to do better for the world rather than I have to because the ice caps are melting. When we come from that place, then we're more likely to do it. And that self-talk model, that being compassionate with ourselves, like how can we really truly be compassionate around us if we're not compassionate with ourselves? But then the human brain is wired to awfulize because you're always scanning for danger, right? But there is a time where that has been the nurture model as well, which
and the more you're soothing your nervous system, the less the more you're kind of aware and plugged into yourself and where you're sitting in all of it, being really intentional about what you're consuming. I think, that's really important in terms of moving forward and how we then exist in this interconnected world that we're in.
Yeah.
Thing of the nervous system means that you're not searching for danger all the time.
Yes.
And ways like the journaling process you talked about, of like getting rid of that stuff. And if there is something that's coming up, if you're getting the sand in your knickers about something, that you're questioning it. So yeah,
It's processing it, isn't it? It's
it is.
processing it. And it's using the emotions as the data, right? So that you can use your emotions and not get, I like to call it, in a doom spiral. You don't get in a doom spiral.
Well, it is.
You go, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And you can switch it to
exactly. Get a
yeah.
bit curious and move through it. This has been a brilliant chat. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's been well over an hour.
No, I think we're on 52 minutes.
Oh, really? Oh, when did we?
But it's
Oh,
great.
it was 12:30. That's right.
Yeah, it was 7:30. Yeah, 7:30. Yeah, here. So it's night and day, and you've got stuff to do, and I've got journaling to do actually. Day 4.
Nice.
So
Yeah, well, I'm going to do that too. It'll be interesting. Maybe if we both do it, give ourselves a week, and then we can talk about the process. I think that would be really useful. Use ourselves as guinea pigs, because there is some stuff that I really want to work through. So, yeah.
Well, I'll send you the process of the days, and maybe we could open up the space and hold space for people as a container and bring in our gifts, because I know that you've got beautiful meditations, and we can have a 5-day, 6-day space where you come in, we'll talk about it, we'll get you set, and then we'll just have the time for that, because I'd love to weave it into music as well, because I know about the different the 5 rhythms and how that mix through. But maybe we can open up like, we haven't spoken about this. This is the birth of an idea for everyone. This is like the universe is changing. So we're just talking aloud now. But maybe we can open up the space and have like something where people come in, we'll do a beta model for it and hold space for people, because that was my idea, right? Is that I could do it for teachers at the end of a term, so that they can put that where it is, they can process what they haven't had time to process. And then, maybe it opens up to another layer that might mean other stuff, or maybe it means that they're able to get on and they're able to actually enjoy life, because, less stress, more life.
Exactly. Yeah. On that note, thanks everyone for joining us.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us. We'll catch you soon.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.